greetings everybody. My name is Kevin Kennedy and this is my friend and associate David Reynolds. We are from the Unarius Educational Foundation. That is who is sponsoring this talk today on Tesla technology and the future of Tesla technology on planet Earth. And welcome to this lecture. First of all, how many people know who Tesla was or is? Quite a few. A few of you maybe do not know who Tesla is. Every time you turn on a light switch, you are performing a Tesla experiment that has worked, because he is the one that came up with the working model of alternating current. Alternating current is what powers cities. Alternating current is what powers your TVs, your radios, or unless you have a battery-powered radio. But that is the foundation for our technology on our planet, is alternating current. And he was the one at the time of Edison who said, you know, there's a better way. Rather than direct current, we can use alternating current, and we won't have to have a power station once every other block in a city. So what does that have to do with Unarius? Well, Unarius is a spiritual school. And what Unarius teaches is that we are not only spiritual beings, we're energy beings. We are energy beings that in every way and every day, we are affecting that energy bond. What we say, what we eat, what we do, we are adding to what's in our energy body or our psychic self. So what we are doing today is affecting who we are going to be a week from now, 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now. But more importantly, what we have done in many past lives makes up who we are right now. So if you have certain things that you do very well, if you're a musician, if you're an artist, if you are an engineer, and you know, whatever, it just comes very natural to you, there's a reason for that. It's not that God said, okay, I'm going to make this guy an artist, and I'm going to make you an engineer, and some of you aren't going to get anything because I don't like you. It's not that way. It is that every one of us has built up who we are right now by what we have been involved with in our past lifetimes, and what we have developed as souls. So what does that have to do with Tesla, and why are we talking about Tesla? Well, Tesla is a soul that Unarius has talked about since its inception in 1954. Ernest L. and Ruthie Norman are the co-founders of Unarius, cosmic visionaries. They are the ones that brought the Unarius science to Earth at this time. And their awareness was that Tesla was an advanced soul that came to our world to help move humanity forward. And he got only so far before his mission was cut short. And it wasn't cut short that he was murdered or anything like that, something that happened to Jesus or some of these other masters that have come to our planet. It was cut short because he wasn't given the funds to complete many of the things that he wanted to do while on planet Earth. So with that basic beginning of what Unarius is about and why we're talking about Tesla, more importantly, we understand that the change on our world isn't going to happen from the top down. All the governments on our planet aren't going to get together and say, you know what, let's make things better because it's the way it should be. It's going to happen because all of us are talking about these things, and we're sharing this knowledge with one another and with people who may have never heard of Tesla or maybe never heard of an energy source that doesn't require wires and that is free, that can provide free energy for the whole world. And if we continue to talk about these things, they will become common knowledge, and people will then rise up, as we have done in the last few years, and demand that it improve. I mean, we had the electric car, what, 15 years ago, and they killed it, and whatever it was, and then people came back and said, hey, we want this. So they had to relent and give in and say, okay, yeah, we knew that was a good idea all along. But it wasn't because they decided to do it, it's because we decided, no, we are going to demand that this change come about. So this is part of this whole process of education of our world, so that you understand not only that Tesla was a magnificent and brilliant engineer, scientist, but that there's a spiritual component that has to come about with all of us. That as we grow spiritually, that we can see these positive changes for our planet. David?
Well, Nikola Tesla's grand vision was wireless transmission of energy or power, right? Everybody has heard that? Mm-hmm. Well, Unarius, it continues that vision. Now, what Nikola Tesla was doing was planting the seeds for the future generations of scientists and engineers and thinkers. I think part of Tesla knew that we weren't ready for that technology quite yet. It might have been misused, right? But he did demonstrate on a small scale in Colorado Springs that you don't need wires to transmit energy. Now, it's very, very rare that we have on planet Earth such an advanced cosmic visionary as Nikola Tesla. They don't come around that often, but they do come to planets that are in need of their help. Now, one of the things that Nikola Tesla had been working with, you know, his own development, life after life, is the connection with his higher self. He didn't have that discontinuity. He had that full contact with his higher self. How many here are aware of that concept of the higher self? Now, all of you have a higher self. You call it different names, the Christ consciousness, the super consciousness is what I like to call it. So, because Nikola Tesla as a soul in his soulic evolution did not neglect the higher clairvoyant, the higher aspects of his consciousness, he was able to download his inner self, this vast amount of devices, energy devices. He downloaded understanding new knowledge, you see. So one of the things that as Unarians we're going to continue with that, and eventually, like Kevin said, it's not going to come from the top necessarily unless you people run for president. Or you talk to your cousins, your nephews, your nieces. You talk about this and get this knowledge known about. And it will come about through enough groundswell interest. Now, there are many people who are aware of this great soul and who are going to be our future leaders. We hope it's on our watch. It may be in the next generation. It may be in our next lifetime. We don't know. But what we're going to do is advance certain energy concepts that maybe you haven't heard of before. Now, if we look at how every atom is set up, every atom, every molecule has a higher self. Now, currently our higher physics doesn't work with that understanding. Now, you know what happens to people who live lives with no disconnection with their higher self? They're very destructive souls. Now, if you look at the Renaissance, you'll find examples of people who lived with their connection with their higher self. They were child prodigies. And they downloaded from the spiritual dimensions progressive, positive things. Now, take a look at Hitler, Genghis Khan. All those souls had hardly any connection at all to their higher self. So therefore, they were destructive. Now we're going to look at atomic energy. The way they try to derive energy from the uranium atom is the same thing, the same principle. Uranium, like all atoms, has a higher self, commonly known as the isotope. I drew a little picture here of the energy that's flooding into the atom, that telling the atom what to do, tells the atom how to connect and bond to other atoms, is all downloaded or transmitted from the fourth dimensional vortex. And it's always pulsating this energy through the atom so fast, it's incredible high frequency that it appears to be solid. It's not solid, it's energy. In fact, we are a little participle of energy in a vast sea of energy. Now, Nikola Tesla was somewhat intuitively aware of this. His whole energy, his whole physics was based on what? Being in harmony with nature. Now, when they split the atom, or the fusion for that matter, when they take hydrogen and fuse it, what they do is they disconnect the atom's connection to its higher self, its continuity with the higher dimensions. It's connected to the fourth dimension, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, on up to infinity, and they break that linkage. What happens? That energy comes slamming into this dimension and it's very destructive. So they thought, well, let's just control that energy. We'll do it slowly, and so we'll have nuclear energy, right? Well, the same thing happens, but on a slower basis. That now they have this fuel, this poison to the world, poison to humankind. Now, what are they going to do with the fuel rods that are poisonous? have to find a place to bury it. With the containers will eventually dissolve. There's nothing man-made that is within reason that's going to hold that energy. So Nikola Tesla had a much better idea. And that is to look at the universe as a pulsating sea of energy. And all you need to do, like a radio, is tune into it. Similarly, the sun is doing the same thing. It's pulsating energy from the higher dimensions, and it's broadcasting it out like a radio transmitter, a television transmitter. And all the planets get exactly what they need for their light and their heat. Okay? So the sun is not a thermonuclear furnace. It's an illusion. It's one of those false scientific concepts that will have to go away one day. So ultimately, what we can do is build a generator that will be in tune with the energy coming into the sun. Just like they had in Atlantis. Atlantis had the same technology. The whole Atlantean technology was built to be in harmony with the universe, not opposing it. They had crystals that were able to focus and define frequencies.